I would love to ask you just a couple of questions that I love to ask people who are masters at their craft in general. And some of them may be applicable, some may seem silly, I don't know. But I'm always curious to know, for instance, with novices, the novices that you've seen, what are the biggest mistakes they make when they're practicing and learning, the biggest wastes of time, for instance?
Two things. One is trying too hard and gripping the sticks too hard and having too much tension.
Yeah.
So the first thing that is your enemy is that you look for when you're practicing, you need two different kinds of practices.
Yeah.
For a professional musician, there would be practice, which is totally self-centered.
Right.
You're not playing music, you're looking at your hands the way they work, and it's all mechanics, and you're working on your mechanics and its rudiments. You need, and they're either doing that or they're playing music where they're not thinking about mechanics and music. They're as far away as possible from that. You need both. You need to be practicing, losing yourself at the same time, making sure. And the main thing you're trying to do is loosen up. You're trying to disconnect all the irrelevant body movements and just get it to where it needs to be. So the mistake that beginners make is to use too much of their body to do too much of it.
Yeah.
You want to just finesse it down to as little as possible. That's the first thing, you know. The other thing is when you're practicing, be hyper aware of mistakes and don't allow them. If you make a mistake, stop everything, go back and play it right 3 times. Because you must not teach yourself wrongness.
Right, don't reinforce
Yes,
the
exactly.
mistakes.
And something that happens is that drummers go, and they don't quite get that, never mind, let's keep going, let me try that. And you can actually teach yourself wrongness. And so you have to be aware when you commit a sin against music, that you go back and you play it right 5 times. Unless you're playing jazz. In jazz, if you make a mistake, repeat it. That's an old adage, which sounds like, what are you talking about? But is absolutely true. You know, I'm playing in E, and the band's supposed to go to G, but instead I go to F, just look everybody in the eye.
Confidently do it again.
Do it again.
I like
you
that.
You thought that was a mistake, didn't you?
Yeah.
Watch me do it again.
Yeah, I can't do that with Foreigner. I'm imagining they wouldn't like that very much.
That ain't jazz.
Yeah, I know, exactly. What are the commonalities of the students you've seen?
I've never seen a student.
Never?
You were my first.
Wow.
Except for my kids. I've never had students.
So of your kids then?
Actually, no, that's not true. At these fancy West Side schools, I do charity drum lessons, for God's sake. And turns out that basically I'm telling war stories with the dad while the kid wishes he could be with Neil Peart, you know. Dad, you said this guy's really famous.
Have you, I mean, then given the limited number of students you've seen, or drummers for that matter, I mean, who are not your students but getting started, are there any commonalities that you've spotted in the fastest learners? Anything? No?
I do know that with music, and I've never played a sport in my life, so I have no idea, but I'm guessing it's the same in sport too, is that there are gifts, and that some kids are just going to get it faster than others and be able to go further with it.
Right.
Probably even more than sport, because in sport, you can build your body to do things, but you'll never be as good as that other guy who didn't have to work as hard, just has got it.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's even more mysterious in music.
Right. Yeah, I have some background a long time ago in neuroscience. I was looking at the sort of neuroscience of music and perfect pitch.
This is your brain on music?
This is your brain on music. It's fascinating.
There's another one as well, Music, the Brain, and Ecstasy.
And there's another one called Musicophilia, written by Oliver Sacks.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Really fascinating.
It's a fascinating subject because the whole business of how your brain there's no such thing as melody.
Right.
There's no such thing as pitch.
Yeah.
It's just a construct of the brain.
Yeah.
There's wavelengths, both visual and of wavelengths of all kinds of things, and it's your brain that turns them into colors and pitches.
Yeah.
That's weird to get your head around.
Yeah. The for a period of time studied synesthesia, which is tasting colors, where you effectively have cross-wiring between your senses, which really helps in some cases. So you have these guys in the UK, for instance. There's a guy named Daniel Tammet who can memorize pi to 10,000 plus digits because he sees them as shapes. That's just the oddest thing. But
mnemonics are different kind.
Yeah. So then that would be the sort of God-given genetic version, and then you have the mnemonics that you would train to remember that stuff. Like
the guy who learned how to use his tongue as a camera blind.
Okay.
And the brain can take any imagery and turn it into spatial knowledge.
Yeah.
Not just from your eyeballs,
You're
bouncing
talking about the
light.
echolocation.
Yeah, echolocation.
Yeah.
You know, your eyeball can tell you that that object is over there, but also an ear can tell you. And in fact, you can send signals to your tongue, which your brain will eventually learn is spatial information.
Space. Yeah, so cool. Do you have any particular rituals in playing the drums before you sit down to play, anything like that that you find very helpful?
Yes, two kinds. One is that concerts, there's a lot of shamanism involved with appearing before people.
Yeah. And
to be worthy of that position of being the shaman requires psyching up. And anyone knows what I'm talking about. If you're going to speak in front of the school, or to give a speech, or to give the best man speech, you have to, for a moment, be a shaman, and you have to assume that mantle, and it's daunting.
Yeah.
And so, going on stage every night, musicians face that, and there's a lot of superstition connected with a good show and a bad show.
Right.
Nobody, and I'm sure other walks of life they have that as well, but there's a lot of superstition, and so that's, you know, don't say the word Macbeth in the theater because it'll be, you know.
What are some of yours?
Relatively few.
Okay.
But the non-superstitious rituals are loosening up.
Okay, got it. Right.
And it's almost like a nervous twitch of loosening up. These, you know, I want those tendons to open up completely. I want those tendons to open up completely because I don't want to get like that and pull. That's like, you know, a month of instinct before, you know, and I got to play, you know, you don't want anything to go wrong.
Yeah.
And so because as soon as something goes wrong, then you got shows to play, it can't heal. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you're playing and just once of hitting, you know, the snare drum rim is there, instead of hitting it like that, I hit it like that. Oh, opens up the skin there. Now I've got blood pouring out like that. There's a spray, and it's not going to heal till the tour's over.
Yeah. And
so I wrap that sucker up. When I play rock band, you know, with rock, which I don't actually do anymore. When I play with orchestras, it's not a problem. But to go with the Police, for instance, playing stadiums, I put on armor plating.
Okay. Tape up all your fingers.
Tape up all my fingers because I just don't want a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's very ritual and superstitious because it has to be just right.
Yeah, yeah.
Or else I'll be there. God, this driving me crazy because there's a little bit too much restriction there and not enough, you know. And
it's like wrapping your hands for boxing. Boxers get very ritualistic about that.
Exactly.
Very similar.
Exactly. I'm sure racing drivers too. Yeah. You have your little things that will mess you up during the show. Yeah. And they're little things.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that I don't want my pinky to be so I'm going to obsess about making sure my pinky has whatever it needs. Yeah. You know.
In the drums specifically, are there any easy things that look very hard, or conversely, very difficult things that look easy? I had read
there are more difficult things that look easy.
Okay.
And the primary among those would be groove. Looks easy, but are you actually creating an infectious rhythm that people want to dance to, that the bass player looks over and goes, yeah, baby. Yeah. You know, that difference is very subtle. And the type of music that exemplifies that subtle difference the most is blues. In contrast with jazz. Jazz, you can fake it. Yeah. Just wiggle your fingers around a lot. Yeah. And it looks like you're playing jazz, looks like you know what you're doing. In blues, since there are only 3 available notes, you must have heart. You must have had a life experience. You must have something to say. You only got 3 notes to say it with. You better have something to say. You can't fake it. On 3 notes, dun, 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 bum, bang. That's all you got to work with.
Right, right.
You can't fake it.
Yeah, yeah.
It has to be the real thing.
You can't just be a pure technician.
You know, you saw me a second ago. You know, you make a mistake and it's jazz. It's out of tune. Well, it's close enough for jazz, as they say. But in the most simplified
I might use that during the concert.
The most simplified kind of music, I think the highest form of music for me is the blues. Because it's so stripped down, there's no hiding. Yeah. You only get a few notes. It's very, very limited. The chords you can play, the progression of the music, it's all nailed down. So all that there is for you to work with is a life lived.
Right.
Dues paid.
Yeah, I like that. So on the other hand, Is there anything that, let me rephrase my question, is there anything in the drums, say rock drumming, that impresses people that is actually technically rather easy to do?
Drums are a very flashy instrument.
Just in general?
In general.
Yeah.
And I don't know how difficult it is because I can't stop myself from doing it. I don't think about it anymore. I don't know. I play, my sticks are always moving. Okay, in between those two sticks, I do all this inexorable amount of time before this stick has to come down with, hey, this guy's getting paid. You know, I just can't help myself. I mean, my sticks are whirling around. I'm flying everywhere. You know, my crew around within 30 feet are all in hard hats. And because, you know, you got to throw yourself off the cliff to make it exciting. You know, it's not a blood sport. You can die and you're not going to actually die. You can hit a wrong chord and nobody gets hurt. And so in music, in a way, rock music, you throw yourself off the cliff. I'm going there. Might get lost. I might not come back on one. Hey, we didn't come back on one. Who cares? Nobody died. We all had a great ride. And the audience can sense that throwing yourself off the cliff. That gives a thing of where you're really going for it. You know, it adds a zing to the show.
The question of advice, I think, can be framed a couple different ways. If you were to give your younger self advice as it relates to drums or other instruments or music in general, is it besides the looseness that you emphasized?
I would re-emphasize that over and over and over and over and over again. Because I've actually done damage to my knuckles and stuff, you know. I unfortunately made the mistake of establishing myself as King Kong on the drums. And I look at the guy, you know, who established himself.
He's the lemur of drums, right?
Yeah, the lemur of drums. He'll be playing through his 90s. The era that I played music in is the era of amplifiers. And big amplifiers. Nowadays amplifiers are getting smaller, but during my heyday was the golden age of 200-watt Marshall stacks, you know, and which required a lot more volume on the drums. Even though they're amplified going through the piano, just that amp next to you makes you do that. And so I've probably done more damage to my joints than the guy who was playing jazz all those years. And so I would tell the young drummer to the relaxing part, and don't play, you don't need, the drums actually sound better if you don't kill them. You know, hitting them like that, they actually, the sound squeezes down. And when I discovered this after playing drums for decades, when I started playing with orchestras, I can't take it above 3. Because the conductor goes cross-eyed. And just this instrument is just physically designed to play with electronic amplification. That will kill a 90-piece orchestra. They haven't got a chance. Okay, the brass could probably overpower the drums a bit, but the drummer on a modern trap, particularly mine, has to play at a third of the volume. And I wish I'd played my whole career at a third of the volume. Because the drums sound better, because finesse, you get, there's more vocabulary from 1 to 3. Above that, where it's just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that's all you can do at that volume. Whereas at lower volumes is little gradations, and there's all kinds of beautiful stuff from 1 to 3. As soon as you get into the louder stuff where, you know, there's just more wood flying harder, there's less finesse.
No, that makes perfect sense. That'll also save me. You can see I've been beat up a little bit.
How do you get beat up?
Doing foolish things, like jumping off high objects. I'll tell you over a glass of wine. Subjecting myself to all sorts of experiments. The term world class is one that I like to explore. What, in the world of drumming, what do people consider you world class at?
Me personally, or the drummer?
You personally.
Drums, I guess.
But within the drums, are there any characteristics of your?
Oh, the characteristics that people write in about
are
the hi-hat technique, the high snare, and the upside downness of my rhythms.
Hi-hat technique. High snare.
High-pitched snare.
Oh, high-pitched snare.
My snare is pitched very high so as to bring a bird down from the sky. And it's a rebellion against when I was first a professional in London. earning money and playing sessions, and they wanted a fat back so that they could sound like Little Feat. I hated that because to get that sound, you have to loosen it. It's just it's fat.
So you want
they call it the fat back.
Yeah.
I don't want a fat back. I want a crack that will bring a bird down out of the sky. And my first album that I recorded with Curved Air, the producers came in and said, okay, out of here, we'll tune the kit for you, you can come back in a couple hours. And I came back and my kit was oh, God. And that's why I cut my hair and became a punk rocker. By the way, you're there like, oh God, that's so cool. Like,
I just got fired from the band from playing too many drum fills.
No. If you're gonna count with the sticks, it's over the head.
Okay.
Mouth open, for God's sake. Mouth, there you, we're talking about. Okay. Now you rock. Okay. 3, 4. Okay, let's get the last hit together. Get the last hit, and it's going to be the thing. It's off. It's the off. It's the note off. Very good. That's it. One more.
Probably grab it.
One more. Grabbing it is good.